I'd now like to welcome up the group that's been working on resiliency and sustainability of Saddle River County Park under Nancy Degnan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anastasia Teoria, and today I'm honored to present you our final capstone briefing, Saddle River County Park Resilience and Sustainability Model. Our presentation will be structured into 5 important parts, starting from the overview and context, methods of research, key findings, recommendations, and next steps. To better understand the rationale behind this project, I'll propose some background information. Saddle River County Park is at a pivotal moment. It is located in Bergen County, New Jersey, the #1 most vulnerable county for flooding in the United States. The park has faced increasingly severe storms in recent years, and this led to tragedies like loss of lives, infrastructure damages, and insurance premiums rising. Spanning across 587 acres, the park has provided substantial ecological and recreational corridor for all 6 municipalities. But what was once seen as a safe and shared green space has now become an escalating risk. This underscores the importance of interventions. The park's vulnerability relies on 2 important factors, policy and geography. From the policy aspect, the park is managed by 2 main agencies, Bergen County Parks Department that oversee the park management, and New Jersey Department of Environmental Protections that oversee the river. The responsibility overlaps but remain distinct and sometimes creating challenging to provide transparency and accountability. From the geography aspect, the Saddle River County Park sits in the yellow circle area. As you can see, it sits in high land surface temperatures, more than 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which intensifies floodings and storms as the heat dries out the soil and reduces the water permeability. The park and all 6 municipalities are located in flood zone area according to FEMA, which amplify the vulnerability of park's geography due to flooding. Moving on, I would like to recognize our client. We are partnering with Ridgewood to assess and help flood mitigations for the Saddle River County Park. Throughout this collaboration, we have worked closely with David, Alina, and Joan, and each of whom has provided with us the unique insights to tackle this issue. For the client ask, the objective of this study is to provide actionable recommendations for flood mitigation and support Saddle River County Park to transform into resilient and sustainable model park. We define sustainable model park as an adaptable, multifunction green spaces that help manage and mitigate flooding and also restore the environmental conservation and community well-being. In order to achieve that, we structured our idea under 4 important pillars: environmental, economic, social, and governance. Next, the methods of research. To better understand the context of this project, we conducted 20 case studies review, interviewed with 23 key stakeholders, and analyzed data using the GIS and system mapping, so we get a thorough and well-rounded key findings. I would like to provide you key findings we found under the same 4 pillars. First, from the environmental aspect, streambank erosion and ecosystem degradation are harming the water quality and biodiversity. In addition, impermeable surface and dense development within the park's area worsen the flood risk. Second, from the economic, repeated flooding increase the insurance premiums and insurance gaps, which leads to financial burden for the residents. Third, from the social aspect, safety issue has become the major concerns due to deferred maintenance backlogs such as e-bike use, damaged paths, and poor lighting and signage. And lastly, governance. Across all 6 municipalities, we heard the same theme. Response are mainly driven by incident, and there are dynamics between our communities and agencies. Based on that findings, we structure our recommendation under 4 important pillars. And we structure the recommendations not only to mitigate risk, but also to restore the park's environment and social community value. First, from the environmental aspect, flood mitigation is the environmental foundations of our sustainable model for the Saddle River County Park. Our approach is combining both the engineered and nature-based solutions, as we believe this dual approach can help to mitigate flooding effectively while restoring the ecological health for long term. We also propose the exact locations to implement all these interventions using the GIS analysis. However, in this section, I will provide one of the example, which is for the riparian buffer. Riparian buffer is the vegetated planted alongside the water flow in order to reduce the flooding impact and also restore the ecological health. With the GIS, we map the suitable areas for riparian buffer as highlighted in green areas, and this strategically map alongside the flood zone marked in blue and orange colors. Moving on for the economic risk, in order to decrease the financial burden, we suggest our client to connect all 6 municipalities to be enrolled the Community Rating System, or CRS. CRS is FEMA's voluntary program to reduce the insurance premiums for those communities that proven to provide flood mitigation efforts. Not only it will reduce the insurance premiums, but it will increase the participation of flood insurance and reduce the financial risk in the future. Next, safety and well-being. We believe that sustainability and safety go hand in hand. A safe and accessible park is important to create a resilient community and foster the well-being. In order to achieve that, we suggest our client to enhance the transparency and accountability through key actions like community feedback system, enhanced coordination between NGDEP and Bergen County, and invest on park personnel like GIS expert and naturalists. By doing this, we believe it will minimize the knowledge gap, improve the physical and ecological infrastructure, and reinforce the community trust and engagement. Across all 6 municipalities, we heard the same theme here. Limited communications and community engagement have hindered the progress. Therefore, we would like to emphasize in here that governance is the foundation to connect all of these 3 recommendations. And in order to tackle the governance issue, we suggest to take 2 important parts in here. First, we need to establish short-term task force, a coalition of stakeholders from local, county, and state level to unite stakeholders in collaboratively tackling the parks issue. The task force will then create the consortium of 6 municipalities and publish the concept for living laboratory. I would like to emphasize living laboratory because our stakeholders are very excited with this concept in utilizing the parks to enhance the education and also tackle the social economic value. Next, the consortium. Consortium is built to coordinate development, secure funding, and provide information for all recommendations, including set up the Saddle River Trust and establishing the pilot living laboratory. Next steps. In order to implement all of this, we need a strong financial structure. Then, we suggest our client to have mix of funding mechanism through 3 important key channels: Open Space Trust Fund, Collective Municipal Bonds, and Saddle River Special District. I would like to emphasize that currently, the existing channel is only for the Open Space Trust Fund. However, in the future, collective municipal bonds and Saddle River Special District is worth to be considered. Lastly, we suggest our client to conduct all of these recommendations under 36 months with following 3 stages of action plan, as you can see on the slide. We know that these are very ambitious plans in a very tight timeline. However, it is what it needs to create and transform the Saddle River County Park to become a model of sustainable park that have a long-lasting impact. Lastly, I would like to recognize the efforts and hard work from our team, Section 3. Thank you.
Thanks, Anastasia. That was great. Could you talk a little bit more about the task force? Like, who do you envisage being in that task force specifically?
Okay, so the task force is the important recommendations that we propose to our client. It's a short-term, immediate task force coalition of stakeholders like from the education expertise, local, state, and county level. We believe that it is important to unite stakeholders and gather informations between one to another so we can design the consortium structure in the future and develop the sustainable model plan.
Hi there, great presentation. You mentioned the community rating system in the presentation. Could you talk a little bit more about that and how it helps things like reduce, for example, insurance premiums or something when it comes to flooding?
Thank you for the question. So the community rating system is FEMA's voluntary program to help reduce the insurance premiums for those communities that using efforts to mitigate flooding. And as of now, only 2 out of 6 municipalities in our studies that are enrolled with the CRS activities. And we would like to all 6 municipalities to join this program because it will reduce the discount from 5 to 45%, which is very beneficial for the residents.
Yeah. Have you considered the funding from the government, like federal grants, in your funding mechanisms?
Yes. We know that funding from state and federals are very beneficial, especially for the projects related to green infrastructure. However, in this suggestions, we not specifically mention that due to the political climate for this green infrastructure. However, in the future, if there are such options available for this, we think that it will be important to consider that.